recording. Oh, happy days, mate.
Hello.
Hello, Scott.
That's
How are
me.
we? How are we, brother?
I am good, mate. And I'm going to take this straight off theme parks. And I'm happy because United won last night.
Straight away in the footy, I love it.
Straight to the City ground last night. First time there. It's quite a nice place, Nottingham. It's not so bad. People
Really?
are like, it's awful. I'm just winding you up because we're in Derbyshire.
Damn, mate. Come on, Rams. That's what it's all about. Now, I'm not a Ram fan. I'm an Arsenal fan, but yeah, we'll say enough about that.
I hope you win the league.
I really win the league as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, Scott, you've got a YouTube channel, experience guide.
That's the one.
Like, well, it used to be. Can we say it used to be?
Yeah, PBE.
Yeah.
Pleasure Beach Experience.
So did you decide to say, like, you know what? Enough's enough. Let's just go off our own and do it.
Do you know what was good? It was going to happen in 2019, you know.
Right.
But we spoke to Pleasure Beach at the time. A good friend of ours, Robert, I won't mention his full name, doesn't work there anymore.
Okay.
And he was like, what are you doing? Why are you rebranding? We've got so much to do. We're going to let you start doing on-ride videos, and we've got events to do, and we've got lots going on that we can't tell you about, which they run about Valhalla, obviously. And but yeah, at the time, I had a good chat with Pleasure Beach, and they were like, no, don't rebrand yet. We've still got loads to do. So I was like, do you know what? Fair enough. And then obviously it's a good decision because we had COVID.
Yes.
But the decision to rebrand was made in early 2022. We decided we've got this America event coming up. We've never done an America event before. And we're speaking to parks like Kentucky Kingdom, Holiday World. And they're like, Blackpool, are you part of Blackpool Pleasure Beach? We're like, no, Pleasure Beach Experience is not the same thing. We do cover Blackpool. And like, even when we were there at like Six Flags, they were like, oh, it's the guys from Blackpool. I'm like, I've got people here from Prague.
Wow.
They're not from Blackpool. So it was like, we need to rebrand. And I think it worked well because Pleasure Beach wanted to take Club Pleasure Beach back, which was ours from 2012 onwards.
Okay.
Do you know the history of Club Pleasure Beach?
No. Tell me. Tell the viewers if they haven't already,
Yeah,
man.
so Club Pleasure Beach started in 1992. Blackpool Pleasure Beach started it, and it was for the big one. It was basically a club to be the first people to ever ride the big one. And it was so popular that in, I think it was 96 or 97, Pleasure Beach said, we're going to pass this to the fans. Yeah. So it's for the fans, by the fans.
Right.
And it was Greg Pern, who's now a very big industry leader. He ran Club Pleasure Beach for a long time. And it was originally called the 235 Club.
Right.
And they did like walking around Big Dipper, walking down Grand National, up to the top of the big one. You know, hiring the big one for 2 hours after the park closed, riding it at midnight. You know what I mean? And
that is awesome.
So it was Greg's club basically, but it was still Club Pleasure Beach.
Right.
And then he got his job in the industry. He was working for, I don't know if I'm allowed to say where he was working, so I won't say it. But then he handed it over to somebody else. And after that, I don't know if it dropped off or whatever the reason was, but in that time of Greg handing it to somebody else, I'd started Pleasure Beach Experience in 2009. And at the time, if you weren't part of Club Pleasure Beach kind of looked at us season pass holders, us younger ones, and they're like, you're a pain in the ass because all you do is moan online. So still do, don't we?
Well, yeah.
We're just older.
We don't change at all in that.
Absolutely not. But at the time, I was like, we need to build a relationship with the Pleasure Beach that they see this next generation of fans as not being a massive pain in the ass. So that was my mission with Pleasure Beach Experience. It wasn't to start YouTube. It wasn't to run events. It was literally to have a fan space for fans of the Pleasure Beach.
Okay.
We were at a point where Alton Towers were building stuff, Fort Park were building stuff, and Pleasure Beach were SBNO, shutting rides, closing at 5 o'clock. Sounds familiar.
We're going to discuss that.
Yeah, and it was just literally, it was a bad time to be a fan of Blackpool Pleasure Beach. But at the same time, I'd grown up with it, and I was like, I don't want to see this park die. Us fans, we need to support the park.
Yeah.
And that is probably, again, something I need to think about when I'm moaning about stuff. But it was, PB wasn't to be what it is now. It was literally I'm in college, I need something to do.
Yeah.
Let's start a fan space for Blackpool Pleasure Beach fans. And it just grew and grew and grew. And in 2012, Greg got in touch and he's like, Club Pleasure Beach is dying. Do you want to take it over? And I was like, yeah, we'll do. But I'm not losing the PBE name. So he's like, well, why don't you merge it? Yeah, I'll do that then. So Club Pleasure Beach Experience was born and it was ace. No regrets.
I do remember seeing on like Facebook and Instagram, like some of your meetups.
Yeah.
Like you used to have hundreds of people. Like it was ridiculous.
Still do, mate. We're just under the new banner, but it's always growing.
I mean, did you ever imagine, when you first started this adventure, that you would have such an incredible, like your own community, like we were discussing off camera, like you've literally built this whole community?
No. I remember the first event that we ever did. This was before we were Club Pleasure Beach. I just thought, I'm going to hire the big one because why not?
As you can just do that.
I know it's ace, isn't it? I just literally asked him. And I remember meeting the guy. His name was Michael Spencer. He still works at Pleasure Beach now, I think. And he's been there since time begun, but he's like part of the Pleasure Beach furniture. Great guy.
Right.
He was like, "You're not Club Pleasure Beach. Why do you want to hire the big one?" I'm like, "Because we're idiots." But at the time, I signed this contract not knowing if we'd get the numbers.
Okay.
I'd done it previously, 2008, through Blackpool Pleasure Beach Guide. That wasn't mine. I was just part of the team. And we got like 33, 34 people on that, which only just fills a big one train. Well, it was just more than a big one train because it's 30. And then we do the Club Pleasure Beach one 4 years later, and I'm thinking, I need to beat that number. And literally until like days before we did that event, Pleasure Beach were like, you need 40 people. And I'm like, we haven't got 40 people.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, I'm bricking it because I've sold this event to PB and people have booked on it. And I'm like, are we going to get the numbers? So I was like, right, mum, dad, brother, I need you on this event. And they're like, why? I'm like, look, I just need you on the big one. And my mum's like, I've never been on it. I'm like, it's fine, just stand in the station, you don't have to go on it.
Yeah.
So I'm there like making up the numbers on the first event with my mum, dad and brother. And my dad's like, why are you dragging us to Blackpool? I'm like, look, just trust me on this. I really need your help. And then Becca, who's obviously now my wife, she was like last minute booking on and made up the 40. I was like, yes.
Mate.
So we literally just made the 40. And then 5 people didn't show up. I was like, oh no, they're going to cancel it.
I mean, to be fair, we would love to do like an event OTT. I mean, it would be amazing. Like, is it quite difficult to try and do or hire something like that?
It can be, because for example, with you guys, because you've not done it before, the parks would probably want a guarantee that you'd get this many people, and you'd probably have to pay a big upfront deposit because you've not done it before. But over time, you do develop trust.
Okay.
With the parks, where you'll say like, I don't know how many you're going to book on. Yeah. Like for example, with Alton Towers, the last couple of years, we've had over 100 people every time. Last April, I want to say it was 139, which is still our biggest turnout. And Towers were even like, okay, that's a lot more than last time.
Really?
Because our previous had been 92. So it's a big jump. And it's when it was difficult with America, because like when we were dealing with the parks like Six Flags and Kentucky Kingdom and Holiday Park, they were like Holiday World, they were like, how many? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, the coach holds 56, but I'm going to say 40.
Right.
71.
No.
We had to hire a minibus. And we had 4 people in a hire car as well, because we wasn't enough room on the bills. So it was literally like,
I mean, it's great.
It was, but my God, it was not expected on the first America event.
That's so good though, mate, getting that amount.
Honestly, it was funny because we put it on sale during COVID.
Yeah.
September 2020. So the trip was for 2021, and obviously COVID carried on. But me and Becca and Charlie, our little one, had just moved into our new house. We had no internet. And we went on sale on the Friday night. And I remember me, Becca, Mike, and a few other, Mark was there, and my brother as well. And we sat there in the garden and we were like, 10 people. Bet we get 10 people booked on. And we put it on sale and it sold out in 5 minutes. We're like, shit.
You see,
we need more spaces.
I think that's my fear. If we was to do something like that, it's a case of, are your expectations are really high? Can you imagine going like, oh my God, can you imagine if we get 100 and only about 6 people turn up? I think it's that embarrassment of like, so clearly we're not as great as we think we are. So
that's what drives me with our events. It's like the motivation is to make sure that I will only put an event on that is interesting to other people, because when you're doing it, you can't just put an event on you think, I would like this.
Yeah.
You have to look at the bigger picture and think, what would this person that's coming to Blackpool from I don't know, Land's End, for example. Why are they going to drive all that way to Blackpool? Or why are they going to come from the Aberdeen or Edinburgh? Why are these people going to come to my event for something that I just want to do? You have to look at it from what does everybody want to do. Okay, yeah, I like a Grand National, big one ERT every time, but people want Icon, people want Big Dipper. You've got to look at the bigger picture. And when you do these events, you've got to make them good for everybody, and that's for me what it's all about.
Absolutely, mate.
Like the joy of these events for me is at the end of the day when you look back at your pictures and you see everyone smiling on like the daft rides. You think September 2021, Blue Flyer, Nickelodeon Streak ERT. I remember putting it on sale. It wasn't just that, we had other stuff, but that was how we started like the Saturday morning. And I'm thinking, everyone's hungover. How are they going to feel about this? And then you're seeing everyone going around on Blue Flyer having the best time ever. You're like, that is what it's all about. It's not just about hiring the biggest and the best. Yes. Sometimes you've got to have a bit of daftness. It's like the log flume takeovers.
I was about to say, shall we just jump straight into this whole Blackpool thing? Like, you know, I mean, like, with the takeovers. I remember, was it last year? Was it the year before? I can't remember now what it was, but I just saw crowds of enthusiasts run towards this log flume, right? I have heard of it, but I've never actually physically seen it. So I'm there going like, what the fuck is going on here? What are these fully grown men doing? What's going on? And then I watched it, and to be fair, it was very funny.
Yeah.
I think you even struggled getting round the corner because of obviously the weight of the boat, because obviously it's supposed to hold little kids and stuff, not like full-grown adult men.
My favourite was when in the Magic, the clickbaiters, you know, the clickbait, they literally did an article about us getting stuck on the log flume, and because it was in my vlog where Mike got stuck in his boat on the corner, and they were like, thousands of people rushed to see this big man on the log flume. It's like, no, we were there anyway. It's like, we instigated it. Like, we instigated the takeover, and to be precise, there was about 100 people, not thousands. But yeah, Mike and I think it was Ian and Sam got stuck on the last corner of the log flume, and they had to drain it.
I remember,
but it's not the only log flume this has happened on.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's Holiday World, isn't it, in America?
Yes.
Because it's Holiday Park in Germany.
Yeah.
Yeah, that log flume, we had an incident. The boat ended up on its side. That wasn't our fault. We got evac'd. We caused a whole ride stoppage. And, mate, it was so embarrassing because we'd all got PBE branding on.
Well, at least it's a good sponsorship. Like, I'm going to watch that vlog then, you know what I mean?
Honestly, it's so bad because my father-in-law was like, he didn't come on it, and he was waiting for us to come round, and he said, well, we just stood at the final drop, like, why the hell is there no boats coming down? And there we are, sat like this on our side, waiting for, we're like, is anybody going to come and get us? Because there was no CCTV, and it was like, is anybody going to come?
Did you make a video on this?
Yeah, we couldn't film on the ride. I'm devastated. I'll show you off camera a video of us all walking off it.
Yeah, show us.
I know it's. I'm not celebrating breaking a ride. It just happened. It just ended up like nearly. It wasn't completely on its side, but it was resting kind of like this. And
oh my god!
I've worked on a log flume. I was like, right, stay calm. don't rock the boat because it was going to make it worse. But the best part of it was we had to sign a disclaimer at the end that we weren't going to like complain about it.
Oh, right, okay.
And we're like, no, we thought it was funny.
Oh, that's fucking hilarious. Straight away, mate. I think I'd be bricking it, to be fair. Obviously, Blackpool itself, they've rebranded.
Don't.
We're going there. We're going straight there. I'm sure some of the viewers watching this, mate, going like, finally, here we go. I want to hear Scott's opinion on this. I know that you did a video not long ago about it all. Getting rid of the name Blackpool in the name title. Some people are cool with it. They're like, I couldn't care. However, though, for its heritage and stuff like that for it, I think it's a bad move.
Thing is, when you go to Alton Towers, you're not going to go, I'm going to Towers Resort.
No.
You're going to go, I'm going to Alton Towers. And when people talk about the pleasure beach, they say, we're going to Blackpool.
Yeah.
They don't go, we're going to the pleasure beach. We're going to Blackpool. And then if they go on the pleasure beach, they'll say, we went on the big one. Or we went on that rickety old ride. They're not going to go, we went to Pleasure Beach Resort. It's just not going to happen, is it?
I suppose it's the same with Nemesis and Nemesis Reborn. Are you going to be calling it Reborn, or are you just going to say Nemesis?
Nemesis.
Yeah. I mean,
Nemesis.
I don't I don't understand why. What was the thought of doing that? Because clearly it is a big statement to say, listen, we're going to get rid of the name. Yeah. And then that's the end of it. So
for me, they've got to back it up. If you're going to be a resort, act like one. You've got 2 hotels, incorporate them to the park. Because, for example, when I've stayed in a Big Blue on a 10 o'clock close, at the end of the day, I've got to go to Noah's Ark and walk all the way around the park again. And then say, all right, 10 o'clock close, 3 o'clock, I want to go on the log flume or Valhalla, I get soaked. Right, I want to go back to my hotel. I've got to walk all the way around the outside. Why can't I just go out a dedicated entrance?
Are they doing that, though? Aren't they building an entrance?
Well, people are saying Skyforce is going to go, aren't they? So that they can expand.
Do you reckon they'll move Skyforce to where Ice Blaster is? And then maybe
there'll be riots. People will kick off. I'm not saying I will, because I've seen Pleasure Beach do daft stuff like that before. If they do it, it'll be funny. But I just think people will proper kick off online, because they got rid of the Wild Mouse, as you know, at the start of 2018. And in their thrown together statement, which was born out of people spotting it had been removed, not a planned statement, which was quite obvious.
Yeah.
Oh, we've removed it for future developments. Well, what was it? Because it certainly wasn't going to be for some AstroTurf in the stage, was it? So, you know what I mean? It's like, if Ice Blast is going, we are literally now filming 2 days before Pleasure Beach opens. Why is there not a statement? I think they've got to be more... You need to be more transparent with your guests.
Well, to be fair, even with the name, they didn't let people know. They just whacked it on
it just happened.
Social media, I think it was. Yeah. It's like, what on earth is going on here? But, yeah, with the Ice Blaster itself, it was one of the rides where I could... take it or leave it. I wasn't really that fussed. However, though, I do think it's going to hinder the park, because it's just another flat ride gone.
Absolutely.
And I think aren't they getting rid of Steeplechase? Well, rumours are, but we'll see.
I don't know if they will, but you've got to look at Pleasure Beach's coaster lineup, and obviously everything's getting to end of service life. Yeah. Oh, it's even gone past it. That's why they're retracking the big one. Every
6 years, mate. Jesus, mate.
And yeah, it's going to go on for several more years yet, because they've got to do the turnaround, the Helix, and there's obviously over the lower bits where it's the most forceful and that. So I don't know what their best option was. I've done a video on it the other week saying, like, you can't just close a big one for a year, because it's to draw to Pleasure Beach.
Yes.
If with Towers you can get away with it, because it's like, right,
you've got
Nemesis is closed. We've got Oblivion, Smiler, Wicker Man, Galactica, whatever. Pleasure Beach, people were like, oh, well, what have you got instead? Well, we got Ice Blast, but it's closed. We've got Valhalla, but it only works if you go on it in the first hour. We've got the Grand National, but it won't be on 4 trains. It'll be on 2. So it's like...
I know. And Infusion, we don't even talk about Infusion.
Yeah.
Are you a fan of Infusion?
No.
Oh, thank God for that. I thought you were going to turn around and say, nah, yeah, it's my number 1. I'm like, what?
It's not as bad as everybody says. I have done a lot of those SLCs, and there is some absolute shockers.
I think what it is I think it's all about the height, because I'm so little. Because I didn't realise how tall you are, Scott. You are really tall. I know that's
fat.
And I was just a bit like, I think when you speak to someone who's tall, because you go over the restraints,
you
don't get much of a head basher as me.
I know what you mean. It's the problem for me with Infusion is the way that restraint is. It proper crushes here.
Okay.
So it's like it proper crushes my shoulders. So it's like my arms are just stuck like this, and I can't actually move. We tried to do a rider cam on Kumali at Flamingo Land, and I couldn't even get my arm out. I was like, no, it's not happening. Give up. So I'm not doing this.
Fair dues, mate. But, Obviously, Valhalla opened in, 2 seasons ago now? Was it
last year, mate?
Was it last year?
Yeah.
Jesus, mate. This year's just flipping dragged.
I know, so
far. We obviously went to the press. So did you. How did you find it, though? The whole... I thought the press event was actually really good, actually. What they gave us and this and that, and round and around in circle. It was great. It was good fun. But overall, though, like you say, though, it's not looking that great at the moment.
My issue with Valhalla is it wasn't perfect on Media Day, but it did what it needed to do. It got people interested. But the rides before it and the rides after it have not been very good. And the other issue for me with Valhalla is the 2 biggest issues are still there. The downtime.
Yes.
And you still get soaked. And it's like you get in, even before you've got out the station, you are soaked because the seats are wet and the floor's wet. Why was that not sorted? It's like I'm literally stepping into a pond. It's like, why am I stepping into a pond? It's like, why is the boat drainage not better? Why did they not buy new boats? And the reliability of it is just ridiculous.
I think there's a line when people say, yeah, but that's what it's known for. You know, you're gonna get wet and stuff, and I get that, but there's way too much more to the fact of I actually don't know certain scenes because my head is in between my knees. That sounds so dodgy, but like because I don't want to get
steady.
I don't want to absolutely get soaked. So or I'm hiding under my my waterproof Mac and stuff. So I mean I'm not here to bash Valhalla. I think it's a cracking dark ride. It's up there as number one in the UK. But I just feel like can we turn down them water fountains or whatever? Just that tad little bit. Yeah, I want to enjoy it. I don't want to be coming off going, oh my gosh, that's ridiculous.
The thing is, like, you can say, oh yeah, it does this, it does that, and it's amazing. But like you say, a lot of people don't care because they're like, I don't want to be this wet. And when you get to the point where you literally can't stop, like, getting soaked, and you think there is nothing on me that's dry, it's like.
Yeah,
you start thinking about, right, when I get off this, how cold am I going to be?
Yeah.
Where am I going to get changed? I've got to walk around with wet feet all day. It's just not pleasant. And I know you can buy a rain mac, but you still get wet feet. It's not going to prevent you getting wet socks. Now, my good friend Mark Yates, before we go on any water ride, he takes his socks off. And it's like, yeah, that's all good and well, but why should you have to do that?
I must admit, I went on Popeye, and now a lot of people are going to turn around and go, yeah, but there's other water rides out there and you get soaking, because they've got the right weather for it, because before you know it, you dry in about 10 minutes.
Precisely.
Yeah, it's definitely a season, it's definitely a season ride like summertime. I would never go on it, like this weekend.
No chance.
I'm not going on it. No way. Speaking of Icon as well, I want to talk about that. Good ride? You enjoy it?
Yeah, I like it.
Even Enzo?
I think I overhyped Icon when it opened. I'll be honest. I got caught up in the Pleasure Beach's actually building a ride excitement.
As sometimes we all do.
But I think it's good. I'm going to be controversial. I'd rank it 4th at Pleasure Beach. I've got Big One, Grand National, Big Dipper, Icon.
Oh my God, guys, I need to get on this. Grand National.
Second best Woody in the country. I think Megaphobia is better now. Now they've retracted.
What about Wicker Man?
About 4th. Behind Big Dipper.
No way.
Yeah, mate.
So you don't find it rough as hell, like as you get up and go like, Jesus, what is that?
Grew up with it.
Got grown a tolerance to it.
It's like grown a tolerance. What's going on? It is like a young lad with my dad. It's like when it had the individual lap bar, and it's like you'd be this far off it. You'd be like, okay.
I must admit, when you walk onto it and you see it's like a sofa seat.
Yes.
So straight away that should give you the hint of, well, okay, this is going to be rough then, is it? Because it's all padded.
The best one actually on that is Cyclone at Coney Island.
Yes.
It's like the lap bar is like literally like someone's garden fence. It's like this wide, and you sat in it and you're like, I am proper like squeezed in here, but the lap bar's padded and the seats are padded, and it's like, I'm a big lad. How am I getting back out of here at the end? And it's just... It was so much fun, but I think the biggest mistake that we made was me and Mike shared a row on it, and it's just like, this is not going to end well, is it?
Oh my God.
But if you like, the problem with the National is this, I think the seats are an issue. Like, you've got that horrendous seat divider.
Yeah.
And then even I know I'm wide, but even someone that isn't, it's not comfortable. I see a lot of people complaining about it online, saying if the seat divider wasn't there, it'd be more comfortable. And it would, because you'd be able to sort of, adjust yourself a little bit. But because you're so wedged in, I find you can't do this. But sitting on your own on the National is the best way to enjoy it. You've got, you can actually move a little bit, and you're not like sat like this. So the issue is you can't be telling everyone that and then be like, right, we've got a group of 10, we're all sitting on our own.
maybe it's not rough for you because obviously you're packed in that much. Then you and the ride become one.
Yeah, this is it.
So I'm so little.
Literally, like, just compacted in. Basically, like a crushed car. Stops feeling it after a while.
So I'm like a little bean in a jar and just getting shaken around.
That's probably why they put height restriction up. Can you still go on it?
There it is, mate. There it is. But Enzo itself, obviously you've been on it. Do you think that whole £15? I thought, hand on heart, I thought it only lasts for one season. I didn't think it would be a continuous thing going on.
I thought it'd last for like maybe as long as it has, but I didn't think it'd be back this year. That has surprised me. But the best way to experience it is on your own.
Yeah.
And I think you might have seen Keith Black's been on it like 2,000-3,000 times.
That's ridiculous.
1,100, sorry.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But he loves it, and he knows exactly where to say it, what time to go on it. And
really?
He's like the Enzo guru. But
maybe he's keeping it going then.
I think he is. I think he's to blame for Icon not being on free trains anymore. Or like when it is, it's just pointless because of Enzo. But the issue with me for Enzo is the way it was implemented is badly. I don't have an issue with the cost. You can't have that free because everyone will be wanting to do it. But the way it's set up in the station, and it's just part of the air gates, and you got random people just wandering onto it. It's like it needed to be separate. It's like on the media day, they were literally building the queue for it. It's like, come on, guys, you're opening it at 12 o'clock.
Because we were all going, where are they going to fit this queue line? Because let's be honest, it's not the biggest platform.
No, it isn't.
The footprint, what they've got, and where the queue line was. I think they've really done a good job and stuff. However, when they announced it, I was like the opposite with you. I had a huge issue with the cost. I remember doing a video about it saying, this is it. People who pay for it, now you've opened up the gates now for Blackpool to do other stuff, to charge for other people to go on these experiences where other parks are free. Now, I get what you mean. It's the fact of it's an experience. You're not going to do it all the time and stuff.
No.
But looking back now, yes, maybe I overreacted on it, but I just thought
we all did.
But I just thought, like, is this the new thing now? Is this like another thing that Blackpool now are trying to squeeze out of money? Because obviously you're not allowed to take your food in there. And
oh, exactly.
That there is a big no-no. I can't believe. Aren't they the only part that do that?
I think so, because like even at Towers, you'd think Towers of all places would be like, no, you will eat our food, but they're fine with it.
I'm just trying to think if there's another. I'm sure there's another part there in the UK, but yeah, that's another big shocking because the food is so expensive there as well,
and it's not very good either.
It's all right. I feel like this is going to be like a full. It's not. We don't want to bash Blackpool. I don't. To be fair, it's one of the parks that I visit the least. I'm not like Towers or Thorpe Park, and it's not because of how far away it is as well. But it is one of these parks where I probably visit once, maybe twice, giving it a push. But and I'm not whinging about it. It's more the passion about it because I used to go quite a lot to Blackpool.
The problem is that. Hold on. Sorry.
It's all right.
The problem with Pleasure Beach is that if you haven't got the childhood nostalgia with it, like I have, and like if you grew up with Alton Towers, you grew up at Thorpe Park, you grew up somewhere else, you don't have that same attachment to the big one, the Grand National Big Dipper, because you grew up going on the rides at Alton Towers, perhaps, or whatever. And I always find that's Pleasure Beach's problem with the general sort of enthusiast perception of it is if you didn't grow up with it, people do criticise them for not building new rides and not retracking and not RMCing the Grand National and stuff. And I get it. I completely understand it because if you haven't got a connection to Blackpool Pleasure Beach, why would you be nostalgic about rides that you might find rough, that you would rather see an RMC or a Steely? I get it. I do get it. And I do think, like, we were talking about this a lot the other day, like, amongst us and our team, and we're like, we have moaned about Blackpool a lot lately, but on opening day, we've got to try and look at it open-minded and not moan about Pleasure Beach Resort and not moan about it. We've got to try and be objective and remember why we like Blackpool Pleasure Beach. But at the same time, one new roller coaster, brand new one since 1994. Where else would that be a thing in such a big park like Blackpool? Because you look at other parks that are so big. Pleasure Beach were on top of the world when they opened the big one. They were an industry leader. Yeah. I wouldn't call them an industry. They might disagree with me, but I wouldn't call them an industry leader now. They've had one brand new coaster since 1994 because Infusion doesn't count. It opened in 99. So, you know what I mean? It's like, that's why I don't think people are forgiving when they do daft stuff like the stuff they've done on social media over the last couple of years. Like the podcast, slagging off season pass holders, I don't know if we could talk about it, the stupid orgasm post he put on a couple of years ago, and it's like, what are you doing? Why do you keep posting these things and hot ice and bloody pantos? Advertise what was the tallest coaster. Advertise you've got all these woodies. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like people are not going to have a connection if they don't feel connected to the park.
Yeah.
So I do. And I was talking to another fan who's been going for longer than me, and he was like, we're too invested. We probably are, but that's why I understand why other people aren't. Why would they be?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you put up some good thoughts there, some good arguments. And I mean, with the cost, this is my issue with Blackpool. Do you know? No, it's not an issue. In fact, this is what I think Blackpool have actually got right. I know that I think it's like £33, £35 this weekend. I think it is. For what you get, I think is brilliant.
Yeah, it is.
I'm because considering Alton Towers is what is it, 60 quid, 65?
10 roller coasters, Valhalla. Well, it used to have Ice Blast. I don't know if we will now. But you look at it, 10 roller coasters, Valhalla, and then the other flat rides that, if they're open, are still there. The dark rides. It is a lot for 33 quid. My issue with their pricing is that they've got to look where they are. They're on a busy seaside. People do just want to go in. I don't agree with free entry coming back.
Oh, okay then.
Because
go on.
The thing with free entry is you lose school trips. And they get a lot of... Because obviously you've got the gates. With free entry, you don't have the gates. People just go in and out. With the paid gate, whether it be a £5 for non-riders or as it is now, you can have the school trips, which is good for them because they get a lot of school trips in the summer and the park is packed out. And obviously from that, you get secondary spend. People, for example, we've both got kids. When our kids go on these trips, have a tenner, have 20 quid, go and buy whatever you want. That secondary spend will help them a lot. So if it, again,
have some drink.
Yeah.
Let's get a whiskey down you. It's too flipping early for that.
Should have brought a can of Coke up. Had a good flow there as well. So yeah, sound like Wayne Rooney. Yeah, I think I wouldn't bring back free entry. I also don't think they have the infrastructure for free entry and pay per ride because big one, 2 trains now, not 3 trains. Grand National on 4 trains only sends, I believe it's 1 more train an hour than it does when it's on 2 trains. Big Dipper's fine, it's still on 2. Valhalla's got less than half than what it opened with. And then Steeplechase doesn't have as many horses on Rev 1 train, it's always going to be on 1 train. Nickelodeon Streak, roller coaster, used to be 2 trains, 1 train. So you think about, you couldn't have a pay per ride and free entry system. They haven't got the infrastructure, but they do need to bring back the walk round pass.
Do you know what? I didn't even think of that because I'm one of these where, and I'm talking to families that say their mothers or their fathers don't want to, or grandparents, they want to take their grandkids to a theme park, but they're not going to go on Nemesis or whatever it is. So I think it's good that they have it for free. Or maybe £5 to get in. A bit like what Towers did with the gardens.
Yeah.
I think it was during COVID. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, COVID bit. But like you say, though, are you bringing in tons of other people in there?
Yeah. See, what I would look at doing, one thing that I think would really work for them, and they should trial it over like Easter or a bank holiday, is for, say, a family of 4 go in. You've got the 2 kids who want to go on the rides. The 2 parents don't. Why not, for every e-ticket that family buys, give them an entry pass to someone that doesn't want to go on the rides for a reduced price? So let's say you go in, you pay 35 quid, someone with you doesn't want to go on the rides, so they pay 5-10 quid to go in with you rather than the 35. Then you've got someone else, again, wants to do the ride, someone else that doesn't. They've got the scanners on the rides, so they can say, yeah, you can go on, you can't. They can see who can and can't go on. But why not trial it where, you've got people coming in at a lesser price. They can come in with a family. They can spend on, like, for example, when my mum and dad used to watch me and my brother on the rides, they'd be like, we just bought you the on-ride photo on the big one. So, but they weren't going on anything because it was either free entry or the walk-round pass. But they were like, we just bought you on-ride photo. Oh, I've got you both a drink. I've got you this. Yeah. Oh, I've got you this big one hoodie or whatever. And before you know it, they've actually spent more on secondary spend than they would have done going in. Whereas now, you've got these people going, and I've been chatting to people at the entrance. I know people at Pleasure Beach, obviously, and I've stood chatting to someone. Excuse me, mate, how much is it? Oh, it's 50 quid to it. Oh, no, I'll go to the pier instead. And it's like, why not let them in, Get them spending inside.
Absolutely.
Do not let them go and spend that money elsewhere.
Do you know what works? Fantasy Island. Fantasy Island is very much like that.
Yes.
That you can go in the pyramid, you can do everything, you walk around it with the dogs, blah, 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 blah. I do disagree with the dogs.
I don't like the dogs.
Yeah. I don't like that whole dog side.
That annoys me in Europe, mate. When you go to like Fantasyland and you've got someone with a big Rottweiler walking around, you're like, no.
I just think of the dogs and these ears and the crowds of people. I think it's not very comfortable for them but anyway.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
I think Fantasy Island has got it right. So maybe, and maybe that's where I'm getting my thought from of not charging people, because it does work.
It does, definitely.
But I know what you mean but Fantasy Island can control the crowds of what goes in, so it's not ridiculously crazy.
Yeah.
As like you say, with Blackpool, it is, let's be honest, it's a theme park. It's an amusement park.
Amusement park, yeah.
Fantasy Islands is arcades in there. They've got other stuff in there as well, so it can, spread the crowds out a bit.
Fantasy Island's a roller coaster tycoon scenario. It's a market with some rides.
Speaking of roller coaster tycoon, I feel that the big one is like that. You know that time when you're like doing management or career mode, and you're like, I can't afford to build this coaster, but I'll build it bit by bit by bit. That's exactly what the big one feels. It
literally is, isn't it? It's just like, we can't afford to retract the whole thing, so that did used to make me laugh on Roller Coaster Tycoon, where you'd be like, and it was the money was so off, and it'd be like, oh, you've got $5,000, but you could build a coaster. It's like, what year is this? 1901. It's just like, come on. But yeah, you'd be there like, right, I need to build this hypercoaster. What can I put the prices up? Right, umbrellas, tenner each.
That's it. Where's that loan? I need to put that 15 grand loan.
Yeah, 15 grand. Yes, I've just built the world's tallest coaster for 15 grand.
I absolutely love that. You just obviously come back from Plopsaland.
Yes, mate.
Last month. How did you... Was it the first time you... No, it wouldn't have been the first time you were in
God, no.
Ride of Happiness.
I went before Ride to Happiness as well.
Really?
Yeah. I've been there way too often. But it's so easy.
Yeah, I've heard that it's a lot easier than
so
a lot of
easy to
places.
get to.
So people down south say it's a lot quicker to get into Plots than it is to Towers, sometimes people say.
It is easy because it's literally just drive to Folkestone, get on the Eurotunnel, and it's 40 minutes from the Eurotunnel.
That's mad, though. That's ridiculously mad. I mean... Obviously, so theme park season really has begun already for you then.
Yeah, literally. I went to Fantasyland at the first week of January as well.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. It's always good to do Taron in -3.
Which one? Taron or Fly?
Taron. I like Fly, but again, it's just the way that restraint closes in on you as you're going round.
That, if you're tall, that's one of these rides. The same with Rita. It's one of them rides. If you're tall, then it's such a bad move to do.
Yeah.
Because of the
it's just the way it closes in on you. It's just like, because the later in the day you do it, the more forceful it is, obviously. It's warmed up. And we did it in the morning, and it was like, oh, it's fine. But it wasn't the first time I'd done it either. But did it in the morning, fine. Did it in the evening, hated it. But I'd been on it in 2021, and I loved it. So I don't know what the difference was. Maybe I was fatter this January than last time.
Have you put some
Probably. Do like me food.
Obviously, Nemesis. We have to talk about it. I talk about it to everyone. I mean, it's exciting times. Obviously, we've got less than 2 weeks when this comes out, probably less than a week. Are you going to be there on opening day?
Absolutely.
Do you know how mad it's going to be there? Do you know what I'm actually looking... This is going to sound really crazy and stupid, but I'm actually looking forward to seeing people than actually riding. I know what you mean. Is that weird to say?
No, but one thing I will say is that if you are going to run, be careful, because we were at the Two Tatis or Two Taties, whatever it's called, opening at Park Asterix, and oh my God, it was chaos. They did a rope drop and it was still chaos.
That London Marathon, like everyone.
It was literally, it's like we were near the front, we were on French TV and everything. It's so funny. It's like there with me Superman hat on. It's like, it's me. It's like, I don't know what they're saying about us. But yeah, it's like the rope dropped and I ran to start with, and then I felt someone clip my ankles and I didn't go over, but I nearly did. I was like, right, I'm too old for this. I'm just going to walk. And honestly, people were falling over everywhere. And I'm gonna tell you a funny story about one of our group now. And if he watches, he's gonna hate me for this. But my good friend Mark Raybold, he's setting up his GoPro on his wrist mount and everything.
Right.
He's like, yeah, I'm gonna do a rider cam. Get me rider cam and everything. Just as the rope drop, he'd set up his GoPro wrong. Drops his GoPro. He leans over to get it. They drop the rope. Everyone starts running. And you just see people falling over him. was one of those that ran. So I missed the full action, but my friend Stephen was like, it was the funniest thing, and Mark was all flustered because obviously he dropped his GoPro, but he dropped half of France as well trying to run past him.
Gosh.
It's just like, I wish I hadn't run. I wish I'd seen that.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not running. I'm sorry. Nemesis, as much as I love it, I operated it. As everyone keeps saying, everyone's like, Danny, you always mention you operate it.
When did you work at Towers?
I worked at Towers in 2023, 3 or 4, I think it was.
Oh, later than me then.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. I loved working at Alton Towers. The only problem is I lived in Derbyshire, so. And at that time, I don't think was I driving? I can't remember. Anyway, we had to get a minibus. It was a minibus what picked us up at 7 in the morning. And it was great and stuff, and we loved it and everything, but it's just the distance. And to be fair, the money wasn't that great as an operator.
No, I worked there in 2007, 2008.
Which area?
Team Water Babies, Flume.
Oh, Flume, right, okay then.
Flume, Rapids, Jewel, and
you see, Rapids,
Mine Train.
You see, it was definitely, they must have split them because
it's all changed now.
Yeah, because we had Jewel, Runaway Mine Train, Rapids, Nemesis, all that area, Forbidden Valley. So we had a project.
We had that.
Yeah,
we were being lined up to do cross training on Nemesis though, and it's like, come on.
Oh, it was such a good. I tell you, the only thing what I got with winter, it's freezing in there. There's no heat. There's no nothing at all. It's a tin shed. Let's be honest, really. But your thoughts about this whole Nemesis then being reborn? I mean, the marketing side of everything looks.
I'm
amazing.
Still surprised that they did it because I think any other park would have been ruthless and probably got rid of it and built. And to be fair, knowing what Alton Towers have been like in the past, I was quite shocked that they went with it. But I suppose it's kind of like fan service, isn't it? They've looked after the fans with it. But it's one of them where I know for a fact that at one point it was 50-50 whether they're going to keep it or not. So it's like, I'm glad they have on reflection, but I'm also surprised they did because they could have quite easily put something new in that play. I say quite easily, it would have been tough to replace it. But I think now you look at it and you think they have nailed it. They have absolutely, like, I've never seen a marketing campaign so good for something that, isn't entirely new.
I know, it's like they've put it all in there. It's like I'm looking forward to Hyperion's not really getting that much of a kick at the moment, but with Nemesis itself though, I don't think, what would you replace it with in that area?
Because I don't know.
Because like you said, it's in a pit. Like when the corkscrew went, it was very simple. It's on
very
a flat,
easy,
flat landed or whatever it is. So
yeah, I think it was just one of them where it's like, I know I always get slated for saying this, but literally every time I went to Towers, Nemesis was walk on, and it's like, is it actually popular other than on Twitter? And then it was on the last day, and obviously in its last year it got a lot of queues because everybody knew it was going or being replaced or whatever. But I have got like so many vlogs where we've been there and it's like, oh, Nemesis walk on, or I've got pictures where it's walk on.
Exactly. I have said this many times when everyone's like, oh, we're gonna miss you, Nemesis, no, and all this jazz, and I'm thinking every time I've been there, I don't think I've queued more than 10 minutes.
No, exactly. It's like you go in fireworks and it's walk on, and it's like, it can't be that popular. And I know people say, oh, it's got good capacity. It has, you worked on it. But that doesn't entirely change the fact that it was always walk on. And
I'm afraid for that queue line, the queue time. Everyone thought 4 or 5 hours, what I mentioned, they were like, shut up, Danny, no. They will eat through the queue. 2 hours, 3 hours the max. I'm genuinely going for 3 to 4 hours.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know some people, and I get that because it does munch through the queue line. However, I've just got this vibe that queue line is going to go all the way past Subterra, all the way down to Curse. I've just got this feeling it's just going to be this huge queue.
Do you know what else people aren't considering? It's not run with people on yet since it's been redone. And all of a sudden you're loading it with full trains. It's going to be like, oh, something's changed, breakdown. It was like when Gotham City Escape first opened at Park Warner. They were obviously cycling it empty. It's all fine. Put a load of people on it when me and Sean were there. Broke down straight away. It just happens, doesn't it?
It does.
It was the same with Valhalla. Pleasure Beach had this. Same for Pleasure Beach with Valhalla. Tested it. All the effects worked. They ran it for weeks, as we saw last year. It was like 2 months continuously testing. Every time you went, it was testing. They opened it. First lot of people went round, broke down. Things take time to run in. So I'm not running to it. I will go to it first because I want to be part of the atmosphere. I want to,
Are they doing
I kind of hope they don't, because otherwise then people will run. I feel like if they're going to do that, they need to literally have a rope and literally walk you to Forbidden Valley. I think that is the only way.
That's what shirt that is.
But it's a long way to do that.
How many vloggers are going to be there?
I
I reckon Sean's going to be the first vlog up, because you know what he's like. He'll be editing it as he's in the queue line. He's not even been on it yet. That's what he'll do.
He's already done his intro bit.
he's got everything all lined up ready for
He's
him.
like the BBC with continuity. He'll know exactly what clothes he's wearing. He's probably filmed the intro last season. he's just like, he'd be like, right, what did we wear for that intro? And then he'll go on it and he'll have already done his review. But he did make me laugh at the Wicker Man Meet the Makers preview event. He literally just learned to pass. He's just passed his driving test, Sean. And it was like, everyone was like, where's he gone? He's like, yeah, we know where he's gone. He's got to put his video on. Do you know what? Fair play. I have done stuff like that before. I remember being at the Untamed opening at Wallaby Holland, and literally it was like 30 degrees. I was like, right, I'm going to go and edit the POV and put the POV and the rider cams on. I got my laptop up and it was like sat in the high car. I went, do you know what? I am not editing this. I'm just going to throw it on as it is. Like, no production value here. Just have it.
Just have it at home, mate.
I'll worry about it at home.
See, that's one thing I like to say to you. Like, what is it like vlogging for you? Because I've said it many times on here, talking to guests, that I've kind of not got bored, but I've lost my energy in vlogging. I feel like not wasting a time, but like I'd rather enjoy the time that I have in the park and soak everything in than trying to shoot stuff. Does that make sense?
I know what you mean. At the minute, I find that we're enjoying it still.
Good.
But I think it's because we're no different in person than we are on camera. We just carry on like we do what we do when we're mates. We're daft. We like to have a laugh. We like to be stupid, but we like to talk about rides. And it's like, while we're still enjoying it, still keep doing it. If I ever sense that like we're not enjoying it anymore, I'll start saying, should we do something different? Yeah. But people still watch them as well.
That's good.
And I think while people are still watching, people are commenting, liking, saying, yeah, we do like this.
That's good.
They enjoy the banter and they comment on it. We'll keep doing it. But I try not to take it too seriously.
Yeah.
Because I remember there's been like, I don't often watch our vlogs back, but some of them I will do, and I'll be like, too serious there.
Yeah.
It's like the Cedar Point ones from 2022. I watched them back the other day, and I was like, no wind muff, so I made a mess of that. So it was more windy than I realised at the time. So I remember Andy Rumney commenting, going, your mic's rubbish. Just shut up, Andy. But he had a point, to be fair. And it's just I watched them back and I went, why so serious? I had a Heath Ledger moment.
Yeah.
Why were we so serious at times? And it's just like, we were at the back end of the trip though. We'd been out there for nearly 2 weeks. It was roasting hot. They'd got an unusual heat wave, even where the locals were like too hot for us.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it was, we were just a bit too serious.
I think with us, with the OTT Presents, I don't know if you've seen any of it, it literally is a piss take.
That's what you want sometimes, though, isn't it? You do need. That's why we do the log flume and stuff, because it's just a laugh. But I think sometimes I was saying to someone the other day, I think we need to give Mike a year off.
Yeah,
because he loses like 2 hours of his opening day, and he loves it. He loves doing it. But I was like, is it fair on him to do this every year? Because it's like he has to go and get changed, then he comes and does the log flume 3 times, and then he loses the last 2 hours of the day, and it's like, is that really fair?
Yeah, because that's him. No, he's got to do it.
You want to do it, yeah. You like to keep chucking him on.
Next time I'm going to get my microphone and interview him afterwards.
Do you know what? One of the funniest things was last year I don't know if you've seen it on the Leesburg log flume. It was an absolute joke how wet we got. And
I've seen it, yeah.
Yeah, and that was ridiculous. It's like we said.
It looked fun though.
Oh, it was. We said to Pontus, like, look, we do this thing where we take over the log flume. I know it's in the park hours. Can we take the GoPro? And he's like, yeah, I'll sort it out with the ride staff and everything. And then we get there and it's like, manager there. We're like, oh no, they're going to make sure we're not going to break this.
Yeah.
Our reputation with log flumes is finally caught up with us. And then they're coming over, they're like, right, what do you want to sit on the boats? Are you definitely filming it? And, we're like, all right, they're just basically helping us film. And as we're going around, you can see, like, there's managers in, like, like where they've got, like, the huts where the staff are watching and stuff like that. They're laughing at us.
No.
Yeah. And then at the end.
How nice is that, though?
And it was so funny because, like, in the video, you could see Pontus stood on the bridge and he was just laughing his head off. And then after it, a couple of hours later, he messaged me. He said, don't worry, but we had to take that boat off because it was flooded. Like, we couldn't keep using it. We had to take it off and drain it. He's like, not ideal with an hour's queue. Like, sorry, mate. So yeah, sorry, Leesburg. Can I just say, like, before we finish or whatever, I want to put a heartfelt thing out for Leesburg, because obviously they've lost their water park, and blood, sweat and tears has literally went into that for 2 years constructing it, and to see what's happened is absolutely devastating. So if you are thinking of going to Leesburg, anyone, please go and support them, because they need it. They definitely need it this year.
I remember seeing that and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It was horrific.
It was absolutely awful.
To be fair, we didn't really mention it on because we didn't really know much details. Didn't give out much information and this and that about it. That's why we never really, advertised it on OTT Viewer Takeover. But yeah, you're right, mate. That was horrendous. That was, and thoughts and prayers and all that for people who actually got,
Yeah, it's devastating. Like, I can't think of a nicer place. Like,
I've never been. It's one of them places that I do want to visit. And do you know what? Hopefully, fingers crossed, I will be there.
Yeah.
Are you going to Florida this September like everyone else is? We are.
September? No, November.
Oh, dude. Oh well.
You're doing
doing Horror Nights.
Yeah, it's good. It's not very scary though.
I've done it before. I've done Horror Nights before, but we're going. The OTT gang are all going down, so it's going to be amazing.
It's just not scary, is it?
No, it's not. No. It's like a conga line all the way through these houses. I'm like, is this it? All right.
Spectacle is amazing. Like the theming and the what do you call it, street theatre, and incredible. But the actual scare, it's like, no,
it's not that great.
No, it's literally scary. You're walking through Crewe in the middle of the night. So yeah, it's just like, nah. It's not scary at all.
Oh my gosh!
But I should have said Blackpool. Really, I've done that a lot though. To be fair, it's not so bad when you're drunk. But yeah, honestly, like November for IAPA, doing IAPA, but gonna do the parks as well.
Well, you know what, Scott? We could literally talk, because I've not even hit a quarter of the questions that I've got for you, mate. We could just go on.
We'll have to do a part 2.
Absolutely, mate. And it goes so quick. This does, and it's been an absolute pleasure, Scott. It really has, and I'm so glad that you're here having a face-to-face conversation.
It's good, mate.
I feel like we've made it now. Not to the rest. No disrespect for the other guests.
Sorry, Andy. A message to Andy actually is, that we're better than you, mate.
Oh, there it is, mate. A bit of rival. Who doesn't like a bit of rival?
I'm joking. Andy's good, but he's not as good as us. I had to say it. I'm sorry, but Sean said I had to say something about Andy Coaster Crazy, so there we go. But make sure you check out Coaster Crazy and Crane Crazy for his dodgy adventures.
He's dodgy. Oh, no.
Very dodgy.
No, he's a lovely guy. But yeah, seriously, do you want to tell the viewers then how they can find you, dude? I'm sure they know where you all are anyway. So
Absolutely. So Your Experience Guide, YouTube, of course, is our main thing. But also we have our Facebook page with regular videos on there. And of course, come to one of our events. You will be very welcome and have a great time.
There you go. Scott, once again, mate, what a pleasure. I will see you I'll see you on Saturday.
Absolutely, and we'll do this again, so you can actually ask some questions.
Yes, 100. So many.
I hope I've not done an Andy Rumney.
No.
Did you get a word in? Yeah.
No, I love Andy's. No, leave him be. Guys, don't forget to follow us on social medias on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. And if you are new to the channel, make sure you do subscribe and hit this bell icon. Every time we upload a new video, you will be notified. So I'm Dan, and thanks for watching. And as always, are you going to do it?
Is that what we got to do?
Happy riding. He doesn't know it.
Wasn't rehearsed.